Today we are covering Mexico says 2 U.S. federal agents who died were not authorized to participate in any local operation, as it happened. When shots were fired outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner, officer killed, another critically injured in Chicago hospital shooting, police say. A world update on live updates. Top Iranian diplomat arrives back in Pakistan after talks with U.S. cancelled. And one lighter story to stop the whole thing from feeling like a live feed from civilizations. Group chat meltdown. Let's get into it. According to AP, Mexico's government says that 2 U.S. federal agents recently killed in a car crash in the country's northern region were not authorized to participate in operations in Mexico. What matters here is the broader signal. This is not just a stray headline. It is the kind of story that changes how people think about safety, politics, or public confidence depending on where it lands. According to AP, President Donald Trump is uninjured after a shooting incident outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The shooting suspect was identified as Cole Thomas Allen. This is one of those stories where reality once again ignores everyone's preference for a quiet news day. According to AP, a police officer died and another was critically injured after a shooting at a Chicago hospital on Saturday, according to officials. So yes, another reminder that the phrase developing situation is usually code for nobody's weekend is going how they planned. According to AP, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has reiterated that his country won't negotiate while the United States imposes a blockade on its ports, according to Iranian semi-official media. The big picture is that this matters beyond one country because it affects diplomacy, stability, and whether adults in suits can keep one more international crisis from getting worse. AP reports that Sebastian Saur of Kenya has become the first person to break the fabled 2-hour barrier in the marathon in a huge moment in sports history. Small win, but I'll take it. The news can still occasionally produce something other than chaos, smoke, or a man with a microphone pretending volume is substance. If you want fast, neutral updates with a little personality and less theatrical nonsense, stick around. See you in the next one. When people say they want the news without the fluff, this is why. The real question is not who can shout hardest, it is what the facts say and what they mean. According to AP, Iran offered to end its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz if the US lifts its naval blockade and brings an end to the war. Talks on its nuclear program would come later, officials said Monday. Here is the part that matters beyond the headline. This story has consequences, not just drama. It affects how people understand public safety, political trust, emergency response, or international stability depending on the subject. Too much modern coverage treats news like a slot machine for outrage. The useful question is always what actually changed, who it affects, and what comes next. A second useful lens is scale. Is this isolated, or part of a wider pattern? Is it a one-day shock, or the kind of development that keeps echoing for days or weeks? That is where the real signal usually hides, buried under all the performative nonsense. So yes, the world story matters because international problems have a bad habit of becoming everybody's problem once they are ignored long enough. AP reports that the world's oldest gorilla living in captivity has celebrated her 69th birthday. For 2 spent Monday munching on cherry tomatoes, beets, leeks, and lettuce, and this is why I keep a good news closer in the format. Not because it erases the uglier stories, but because it reminds people the world is not made entirely of collapse, grift, and microphones attached to overconfident idiots. Small win, still counts. If you want fact-first updates with more context, less spin, and only a responsible amount of sarcasm, stick around. And if one of these stories deserves a deeper follow-up, that is exactly the kind of thing I want to know. See you in the next one.